All right. All
Okay.
right. So I'm back. I'm recording and streaming again. Hopefully, this actually streaming to the right place.
Okay.
You are okay. We're now we're streaming to the right place.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So, John, you are, of course, here as a guest, which we love very much, but you are also a Nintendo Dad's exclusive gold member Patreon supporter, which is absolutely tremendous. Thank you so much for that.
That's right. Yeah, and I get to be on the show. It's maybe somewhat like a college admission scam or something. That's how I
Sure.
got here.
I think so. I think that's exactly how this works. This is exactly how it works. Now, you were saying that you've sank a ton of hours into your Nintendo Switch and obviously get that report every single month. What's the game that you've sunk the most into?
I think last month it told me Diablo, but we have not played
Oh.
Diablo in a long time. So
Oh.
yeah, this last month is probably all of Drew's tournament games. A lot of Enter the Gungeon as well. I'm hopelessly
Okay.
terrible at it, so tried that a lot.
Nice. I may have to pick your brain when I jump into Diablo. So I actually have Diablo. I have Diablo downloaded
We're
on the
waiting
Switch.
for you.
I know I have not turned it on yet. And I'm afraid to jump into that world, and I'm going to be too deep into it. But I have to. I have to it soon. So I may have to reach into you guys and say, like, guys, I need help. I'm going to binge Diablo for a couple hours, and I need some. I need some of our amazing Patreon supporters to walk me through this, of course. So,
Oh
but
yeah,
John,
you'll love it.
yeah, but John, we're excited to obviously have you here. We're going to talk about a ton of Nintendo stuff. Obviously, also what you've been playing later today, and break that down. And of course, guys, what are we talking about today? Well, we're talking about the rumors that Nintendo Switch. There's some new versions of the Nintendo Switch possibly coming in 2019. Also, Apple may have announced some content that is competing against Nintendo potentially. And of course, we have some future games coming up. Plus, why is Nintendo partnering with Twitch and offering you online services for free? That and so much more on episode 223. But of course, before we jump into the news, let's talk about who the news is brought to us by. Jesse, who is the news brought to us by?
Our lovely patrons.
Thank you. I love how you're like, yes, they are perfect. And of course, we want to thank our amazing patrons. I want to give a big shout out to a couple people right away. Troy Taylor, uh, Abel Briano, Trucker Paul, and Jesus Amata, or Jesus Amata, either one of those. But guys, thank you. Of course, these are 4 of our brand new, brand spanking Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for going over to Nintendo Dads or patreon.com/Nintendo Dads and supporting us. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. Amazingly enough, we actually crossed a milestone earlier this week, and that is 100 Patreon supporters. And that is an absolute huge accomplishment. And we are so thankful. Yeah, yay! They don't give us like a golden medal or anything like that. It's just you get like a notification. But that is absolutely tremendous, and we are so thankful for everyone who helps us every single month to help us create amazing content and do what we do. And so we're so thankful for that. So thank you very much, and big welcome to our newest Patreon supporters as well. All right, let's jump right into the news, shall we? I was about to say, I like deliberately took a sip of my tea to give you a pause to hit that button. You better hit that button, Jesse. All right, let's jump right into it. Now, we actually start off with a little bit of not necessarily Nintendo huge related news, but I will start off with this one. This week, Apple announced that they are announcing Apple Arcade, which is a subscription service that lets users select games to be played on the iPhone, iPad, and Apple TV with additional costs or no advertisement.
With no
It will be released.
cost.
No additional cost. Will be released in the fall, likely with iOS 13, and there has been no pricing announced. Now, of course, why is this newsworthy? You're saying, like, Justin, this is a Nintendo show, not an Apple show. Well, 2 things. Both Jesse and John do some app development, so this is a great topic to talk to them about. And also, last week, of course, Google mentioned the introduction of their replacement to Sugar, Stadia, and so we wanted to kind of get. I think the landscape.
What's the difference, right?
Yeah, I think the landscape is changing here. So, Jesse, actually, John, I'm going to throw this to you. What did you think of this announcement from Apple regarding Apple Arcade?
I didn't like it. When I started doing Apple development years ago, they were very innovative. Steve Jobs and all that, but Their announcements every year, they do their big announcements, and I get less and less excited. And and I do this stuff every day, and their announcements were such a letdown to me. I mean, I don't really get the Apple Arcade. I understand what they're trying to do, but to me, it feels like it's Apple using their huge tracts of cash to do something, and I don't feel like they're innovating. So to me, they're just buying development, they're buying exclusivity, and they're trying to give us, something we can play on a Mac, on a phone, and that's cool. But like, I don't have an interest in playing games on a phone. So I mean, I don't know what kind of box their Apple TV is. Terrible, so I'm not excited about it, but I'll wait and see like what happens, but I don't see it as something that I would be subscribing to.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Jesse, how about yourself?
All right, 1 second. I was just adjusting some levels. I was told I was low, so hopefully this is better.
Yeah, well, I hope you're better now.
Yeah, well, Tim will let me know if I'm not. So, yeah, I'm kind of iffy on it. Yeah, I don't do a lot of gaming on my iPad or on my iOSs. When I do, it is on the iPad, and I think it'll depend on what games are available. And I have a feeling, because I think a lot of these games are better played with a controller anyway. So those games I wouldn't want to play on the iPad. And I think there's going to be a lot of indie game cross promotion going on. Like we'll kind of go into in my next news item bullet. Shantae 5 has been announced, which will be on all platforms, including Switch and Apple Arcade. I don't think that's a game I want to play on a touchpad only.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a very interesting place for Apple to kind of, as I looked at the two events, and I've been an Apple fan for quite a while and had their devices. It felt very thin. It felt like I don't know if that's the experience I want. Right. I have, when I think of my gaming that I do with an Apple device or what, it's very, I'm playing Pokemon. What is the not Pokemon Go? I play that as well. But what is the game? Pokemon Shuffle.
Shuffle.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Shuffle and Mario Run, like very simple things. Right. Well, like it does, like, I don't need a subscription for that. It's super simple. I'm not doing what I would call heavy gaming or hard gaming onto this thing. Right. So I don't know. It just doesn't really scratch my interest. And then when I compare that to like Google's offering from even last week, that one, like Google's one interested me more than Apple's. And I think the ubiquitous of like, I could literally just pay the whatever it's going to be subscription, have the Apple Arcade. But the Google one to me is more innovative, more moving forward, more interesting. John, how did the Google event land for you?
It's interesting. Right now I don't want to game that way. I don't like the idea of streaming and leaving my game to chance. Like I have a Vita and a PS4, and you can stream to your Vita, but it'll come in blurry most of the time. You have to have really good Wi-Fi going. It's gonna glitch and lag, and I'm just not into that sort of thing. I'm into like pure gaming, so I like the Switch experience because it's native. It's on the device. There's no lag.
I've done some remote play from my PS4 to my PC, but at least I'm wired to wired on my same network, so that was smooth. Going over Wi-Fi would be a little bit more clunky. And we do have an email that we'll talk about later in the show that's kind of similar, talking about the Google stuff as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not sure. Again, I understand the concept of the game streaming. They're trying to turn it into similar to how we consume movies and TV shows with Netflix and Hulu. And in general, I just don't think the infrastructure is there. I have no problem with this with my infrastructure, and I'm kind of half hoping I might get it included with my Google Internet package, or at least the ability to get it at a discount. Again, it depends on what the price is, whether I jump on that or not.
Yeah. Yeah, very interesting to kind of see, again, what their rebuttal is. I loved your statement there, John. I want to pull into that. Pure gaming. The word, I thought that was a very interesting word to use, and I rather enjoy that as well. And when I think of the options, I'd much rather throw my Switch in my bag and take that with me as well.
Yeah, even just sitting down and just playing a game and just knowing what that experience is going to be.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sound like crankety and like I don't like this. I think we really have to like experience it. I think the idea of like
Back in my
watching a
day.
game, yeah, but like watching a game and then being able to continue from that point could be kind of cool. Maybe like
Yeah.
some YouTuber gets to an interesting section or whatever. So my mind is open, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you as well. All right, let's move on now. Before I move on, I just want to give a big shout out to our amazing folks that are in our live stream chat right now. Game producer, obviously, Tim's in there managing as he does every single day. Ono Meister, Sean Capri, Bobby Pauls. Let's see, also then Third Strongest Mole. Guys, thanks very much for jumping in and watching us live. We greatly appreciate that all the time. So we'll keep the chat open, and feel free to tell us if we're right, we're wrong, or what you think. Although for someone like Bobby, I don't care. Moving forward, let's talk about games that are potentially announced this week as well. Jesse, you got some games in here. Some new game announcements. Jesse, what games we got coming to the Nintendo Switch coming soon?
Okay, so I already mentioned that Shantae is coming.
Yeah,
And,
we have no release date, right?
No release date, no price, we don't even know what it's about. All we've got is an image with her hair forming the number 5.
Okay.
And we knew about SteamWorld Quest Hand of Gilgamesh from a previous direct.
Yeah.
We now know the release date. I think that was announced yesterday. It'll come out April 25th and will be for $24.99 in US dollars.
I'm going to take a pause there for a second. Either of you excited about this one?
I am very excited by this one. I've played all the Image Informed games. They're all perfectly tuned. I would like to play that day one when it comes out.
Yeah,
go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah, I even bought the DSi game. Not a fan of that one. I tried that as just to see what their first game was about, because the first game I played was Dig. But yeah, I played all other than the DSi one. I've played and finished all of the games, and Heist was the one that I was wishy-washy on, because I'm not normally a fan of that type of genre. Things have happened before where I like a game I normally don't, like the Rabbids game, Mario plus Rabbids. So I am looking forward to any SteamWorld game. I will give it a try and see. I like RPGs. The card part, I'm worried about. If it gives me Color Splash vibes, I might be turned off. We'll see how that mechanic is played.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the thing is, I love, and Image and Forum have done such a tremendous job with this SteamWorld universe that they've been creating, right? I find it very compelling. They are a developer that, I'm not very much a card-based RPG player. We're all aware of that. But I'm already like, I will pick this game up. Why? Because it's Image and Forum. I trust them. I trust their pedigree, right? When they put out Heist on the 3DS originally, that really, really excited me, right? And it was, again, that kind of turn-based strategic game, right? RPG, and was not something I traditionally liked, but their approach, like what I love is their take of a genre. They skew it in a really nice way that kind of makes you engaged for it as well. So they're a developer whose pedigree of the games that they've created, I'll just trust them. I was also shocked how quickly this was coming out. I was shocked and I wasn't shocked, right? Because we'd seen it announced earlier. They're typical. They don't do like a long tail of we're gonna show you the game in February and we're gonna give it to you in September. They're usually we're gonna show you the game. It's gonna be out in the next 4 to 6, 8 weeks. So I was really happy to hear this announced as well. I hope this is going to do fantastic for them. I've seen some gameplay. It looks absolutely amazing. I know this is a day and date purchase for me.
Because even 2 weeks ago, they were still saying 2019, we have no date. And so I was thinking about maybe summerish, May, June. And then when I saw, I think it was NWR TV's YouTube channel, have a 45-minute play of the start of the game, I'm like, okay, this game is coming soon if they are able to do that.
Yeah.
And then, coming out in about 4 weeks.
That date leaked like a week or a week and a half ago or so, because I actually penciled that into my calendar, and then they did the official announcement and I was like, didn't we know that? But I was still
I didn't
shocked
know
at how
that.
soon it came out. Nintendo posted it on their site and then pulled it off. I didn't realize they even had pulled it off, but
Oh,
I'm
okay.
excited that it's coming
That
so
might have
soon.
happened.
Yeah, exactly. Tim mentions that they are currently on the NBC. Last week, they're actually discussing redoing the DSi coming over to the Nintendo Switch at some point as well. Now, obviously, I could sit here and talk to you about the times I met the folks at Imogen Forum and hanged out with them and repeat that story 100 different times and no one really cares about. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to move forward. What other games got announced this week potentially as well? Or I shouldn't say potentially, actually did yet. Yacht Club Games reveals Cyber Shadow, a thrilling 8-bit ninja platformer coming to the Nintendo Switch. Have you guys seen the trailer for this?
I have
I
not.
have not.
Oh, geez, now.
Which is why I didn't. That's why.
Which is why you didn't put it in the doc.
You're going off script here.
I'm going off script, folks. Yeah, so this is on Nintendo Life. Yeah, so Yacht Club revealed again Cyber Shadow. Now this has Ninja Gaiden written all over it in the way that the Yacht Club games can do, and looks absolutely brilliant. I don't know if we have an official release date on it, but I would say that one is something to definitely keep your eyes on. Was also announced for the Nintendo Switch this week is the Switch version of Youngbloods, which is confirmed that Panic Button is developing that for as well. So that is coming to the Nintendo Switch. So that is fantastic. What was the other ones here to talk about? I have another couple. Panic Button is also bringing Hob the Definitive Edition to the Nintendo Switch next week. And just a couple hours ago announced Bulletstorm Duke of Switch Edition is coming to the Nintendo Switch later this summer as well. Any of those games interest you guys?
Cyber Shadow, I think, can best be described as Shovel Knight with ninjas. I mean, it has that same art style. It does look cool. I'm a little salty with them with the delays on their other content and the amiibo, but I'm looking at it going, yeah, I'll probably get this one too. So yeah, I think I'm pretty excited for this one.
Yeah, well, they're not developing these things; they're just publishing them. So I'm sure the one isn't disrupting the other.
They better not.
No, could you imagine that? We've decided not to give you the next Shovel Knight because we're busy with this game too. All right,
because that worked so well with Red Ash.
Yes, exactly. Jesse, why is Nintendo and Twitch Prime hanging out together? What's going on over there?
Well, the why I'm not sure, but I can tell you about what. Of course, right. So I apparently didn't even realize that Twitch was owned by Amazon.
What? How do you? Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
So I'm not a Twitch user. So anyway, so if you're a Twitch Prime subscriber this is given to me on an Amazon.com link, which is where I finally put two and two together. And I don't know how much Twitch Prime costs, but if you're a Twitch Prime subscriber, you can get 12 months of Nintendo Switch Online for free. And there's kind of rules of how this all works. So if you can you can claim right now 3 months of Nintendo Switch Online if you're a Prime subscriber, which you can, if you're currently a single user member, or not a member at all, then you can use it to add 3 months to your subscription or start today for 3 months. Then in 60 days after you've claimed the 3-month code, if you're still a Twitch Prime member, you can then claim a 9-month code, which again will just add 9 months more to your subscription, whatever is left. If you are a family member, you cannot use this.
Okay.
So I'm out. I can't use it.
Yep.
I'm not a Twitch Prime user either anyway, so I wouldn't want to use it. And then there are date deadlines to use the codes. The 3-month code has to be used by September 24th. The 9-month code has to be used by January 22nd next year.
Mm-hmm.
And this already stacks on top of any single subscription you currently have. So if you started in September, like when all of us did, you can just start. You can bump the September into a December expiration date, and then back into September of next year when you claim the 9-month code. And
So if
it's not available everywhere. It's available in 40 countries, but it's like the biggest 40 countries.
Right.
So I think pretty much if you hear, in most cases, if you can hear us, you'll probably qualify.
Yeah. So as a reminder here, if you have Amazon Prime, you have Twitch Prime.
Do we?
Yes. If you have Amazon Prime, you get Twitch Prime.
See, I didn't even know that.
That's how that works.
I've been a Prime member forever.
John, and anyone correct me if I'm wrong here, by the way, folks, in the chat. If I'm wrong, let me know here. But I'm fairly sure because that's how I have Twitch Prime is through Amazon Prime. So I guess what's being said there is if you are interested and you have not decided to try Nintendo Switch Online, here is an opportunity for you to get a bit of a go at it as well. So definitely give that a shot. I think it's interesting that they're trying to get more people online. I think Nintendo has already told us earlier that their objective is to get more people online to playing Nintendo Switch Online. Trying to get more traction to it, right? We've had Tetris 99 that was
they're
brought
not as
to
much using it as a revenue stream, but having people have Nintendo accounts. That's the goal.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So they're trying to get more saturation, right? And I think pairing with something like Amazon Prime that goes into Twitch Prime, that's a great example of, hey, that's an easy connection. You can maybe meet people where they are, make that connection, and then I think Nintendo needs to continue to add more value to that Nintendo Switch Online service, right? Which they haven't done. Now, rumor has it, obviously. We were talking a little bit on the pre-show that there is a rumor that the SNES Online will be coming in May, and obviously require a Nintendo Switch Online account as well. So that's a rumor out there. Rumor, obviously, we're gonna keep that in that bin. But that's another way to entice people to be part of the Nintendo Switch Online community and paying that fee as well. So obviously, John, what do you think of the Nintendo Switch Online? What are your thoughts?
I love it. The initial bunch of games were a lot of games I played as a kid. And I go back to it constantly. We do our game tournaments on there. And lately, between Zelda 2 and Star Tropics, we're starting to see games like Blaster Master.
Mm-hmm.
One of those two.
Starting to see games where I actually want to play through them. Like early on, that wasn't really there, but now there's hey, these really cool solo campaigns. I have a whole bunch of them that I want to go through. So I really enjoy it. Tetris 99 was fun. I'm kind of done with it. I'm done losing. But I look forward every month to see the new batch of games that come out on it. Yeah,
absolutely. And I do think that we are obviously going to get the SNES Online games. That's not, I think, a surprise. It's just when we get it. Right? Is it going to be at E3 or is it going to be revealed earlier than that? Again, the rumor is early May we're going to get that, but we'll see what is actually happening.
I'd also be curious to see what they launch with. If they launch with some of the RPGs that are on the SNES, or they, that there's a lot of games you can invest a ton of hours on the SNES. I hope they launch with 10
Final
or 15.
Fantasy 4.
Yep.
Lead off with that.
I don't think we'll see 6 right away. I think we'll see it eventually, but not right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of Tetris 99, the winners of the Maximus Cup were notified. They got 999 gold coins. Gentlemen, was that either of you?
No. I didn't get a single win. And sniffing around Twitter posts, I think you needed at least 13 wins to qualify. There was I know an 11 win didn't cut it. I didn't see anyone say I had 12 wins and it did or didn't count. So if you didn't get 13 wins, then you probably didn't get any points.
Yeah. John, how about you?
I tied with Jesse. So
nice. Okay.
Same boat.
Good. Yeah. Good news, guys. I think I tied with you guys also. That's
wow.
so weird. That is so weird.
We can all share no prize.
Does the bottom 999 get anything?
Just you get to roll around not in the 999 golden coins, but roll around in your pity and self-loathing. That's what you do.
You can do that.
Let's move on to our next topic, and then we're going to jump into the big news topic and kind of rumor of the week. Atari's VCS delayed to the end of 2019. Jesse, you're a big Atari geek. Tell me about this one.
Okay, yeah. So this actually came in on an Atari blog last week, but again, no computer, no email. I didn't see this until I got my computer back up and running. So they still haven't announced an exact launch date yet. Originally, it was this summer. They pushed it back into near the end of the year. The reason being they are upgrading to a new Ryzen chip for their GPU instead of the Bristol Ridge. You know, I don't know their terms, the AMD chip terms, so I'm not sure what that is. So it's a chip that they originally chosen back in 2017. So now they're using a newer version of the chip. They say from the blog, they say AMD's all-new Ryzen embedded chip will be faster, cooler, and more efficient, allowing the VCS to benefit from a simpler and more effective power architecture and thermal solution. The new processor includes built-in Ethernet, native 4K video with modern HD CP, and a secure frame buffer that fully supports DRM video, Netflix, HBO, etc. You know, most of that I probably won't care if they incorporate it into the system. I just kind of want it for see what they do with the games. But I do like the fact that they're saying, hey, we're this is why we're delaying it. I think this is a good reason to delay it. You know, changing your hardware specs. You know, doing it this late in the game is a little weird, but I think, you know, but picking a chip from 2019 is better than going with a 2-year-old chip.
Sure. Yeah. Cool. Well, we'll keep an eye on the Atari situation as it unravels itself, and obviously, Jesse, you I think you have this preloaded or not preloaded. What am I looking here for? Pre-ordered.
Yeah, I have
preloaded in your mailbox.
Yeah. So when this does come out, I should get the unit, the regular joystick, and their more traditional controller.
Right.
I don't think I ordered anything else with it, but at least that's what I ordered, and we'll see what we get. I plan on doing unboxings. I'll get videos made and whatnot.
Okay, I love it. John, you an Atari fan? Does this pique your interest?
I grew up on Atari.
Nice.
I didn't really have interest in it. I mean, it was cool. It was announced and everything, but I still have an Atari. I have like 100 cartridges downstairs, but it's just not something I play. I mean, especially now, like the Atari market games are like $1 each. If you want to get back into Atari, and that's, you know, like you can go out for really cheap and get all the great games and a lot of the really bad games. But yeah, I don't really know what this system is gonna bring that, you know, any of the modern systems aren't gonna bring already.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Fair enough. All right, well, folks, that's kind of our major news items we've hit, but let's move over to our rumors. Jesse, you've got a button for that. Hit that sweet button. Sweet. That's a good bumper. That's a really good bumper. I like that a lot, actually. All right, so let's talk about our kind of our big topic or our big rumor we're going to jump into. This one has broken from the Wall Street Journal. They had an article on Monday stating that there are two Nintendo Switch models in development. A Pro model, which will have enhanced features targeted at avid video game players, and a smaller, cheaper, stripped-down model meant to be a 3DS replacement, which probably HD Rumble won't be included, which sort of hints that Joy-Cons will not be detachable. It's expected to be announced at E3, and at least one of them is expected to be released this summer. John, did you hear this rumor?
Oh yeah,
I think any reputable Nintendo site probably covered it, although some other ones that I would consider unreputable and hot trash in the summer also covered it. But John, what did you think of this situation?
I think they've been predicting it for a year, so eventually it's going to happen. It's not a closely held secret that I buy a lot of Switches. We have 3 in our household. Me, my wife, and my kids share one. But like, it doesn't stop me when some of these limited edition come out, and generally what I'll do is like sell an old one off or whatever. So I don't even have my launch Switch anymore. But I would love a Switch Pro or Switch XL or whatever. I guess I prefer it to be a Pro because I don't want it to be bigger. But like the day a Switch Pro came out, and I don't know if it would be branded, if it would be Fire Emblem or what, I don't know. I would get it and probably start a new save file for Breath of the Wild and just try to experience that game with no frame drops. And I would be super stoked for one. I would take it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. What now? So let me ask you this, and what? So when you envision the Switch Pro, and I mean, again, the information we've got from Wall Street Journal, and is the Pro will be enhanced features targeted at avid video game players. Doesn't give us a lot there, right?
No.
Like people who like video games will like this version a lot more. You're like, okay, come on now. But what do you think? What do you expect as someone who maybe pull that trigger? What do they need to do to make it enhanced features? What does that look like to you?
Gosh, for me, I mean, just having a faster processor would probably be all that I need to convince me to buy it. But
Okay.
To play the prediction game, I don't think that's all they would do. They might make some hardware modifications to the system just to work with the Joy-Cons better. Something I've always noticed with the Joy-Cons is the more you use the Joy-Cons in handheld, the more they start to wiggle a little bit. I'm not sure if that's something they can fix. I know there's some issues with the fan, and there's some cracking going on with the fan. But
Right.
faster processor would be one. One thing that really bugs me about the Switch in handheld mode is just the bezel around the screen is just. Sometimes you don't notice it when you get lost in a game or you're playing at night, but when you're like playing during the day, you can just see this like half-inch bezel around the screen.
Yeah.
I love to see the screen increase in size with the bezel shrinking, and if that means 1080p, then great. I mean, I would love to see 1080p, but if not, I'm still okay with 720. But I just would like to see that bezel reduced. That would be big for me.
Yeah, I think so too. That is that, and, because here's the other thing now, unless Nintendo, let me ask you this then, John, do you think they're going to keep the same form factor of the current Switch? So obviously I've got my Switch right here, right? We know the form factor is the Joy-Cons fit nicely. Everything is very kind of, connected nicely. Do you suspect the form factor is going to stay the same, or are they going to change anything, you think?
I hope so, because I mean, like with the Joy-Cons, and I mean, like, I hope the form factor stays the same, because the Joy-Cons are interchangeable, and I don't want to see consumer confusion where if we have smaller Joy-Cons being sold in stores, I think that would be terrible. I don't think they're going to do that.
I agree. If they do the smaller bezel, they can make a bigger screen and still have it fit in the same.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
My hope is that they don't change any of that. And to your point, that it is literally just it's just the core guts of the system, right? Yep. That's the adjustment. Is there anything else so obviously when I think of like the avid, the same with the avid gamer, I love your statement first, John, of like the bezel. Let's fix that, because I agree with you there.
Yeah.
Anything else we can think of? Obviously, I'm imagining they're going to put in, faster core processors and all of those kind of, bits and bobs. But what
More
else?
storage.
What else could? Yeah, more storage. Okay, so
upgrade
more
to 32 to a 64 or 128.
Yeah, that feels like a Nintendo thing too, right? Like they'll probably do like a 64 or a 128, right? But they're not going to go like 400. Like they're not going to go crazy.
Yeah, I got one other thing, and this has bothered me for almost 2 years. Well, 2 years now. When Mario Kart came out, April of launch year, right? So I have this group, we call it the Denver Switch Mob, right? And we get together from time to time, and we all have Switches. And so we can get 8 people or 12 people together. We did this last month. We had 12 people together with a Switch, and all of us had Mario Kart. And the thing that nobody really talks about, because I think most people, you can't get that many people with Switches together, is that the wireless... It is really hard to play 8-player wireless Mario Kart. They say it works, and every time I see it in ads where they show like the pattern of all the Switches and how they can all play together, they can't. You have to get in. We got it to work one time. But you have to get in a really tight circle, and just like you have to be like right on each other, because if you just kind of like casually in a room, that wireless is just not powerful enough. It will not work. So we will usually try to do like the local Wi-Fi setting, and that works great. But yeah, like I really would like to see the wireless work better. Of course, that wouldn't help unless everybody had a Switch Pro. But I would love to see them improve the power on that.
Something minor, a better kickstand.
Yep, that's a good one, right? I like that one. Okay.
I liked Third Strongest Mole in the chat. I think he says have an Ethernet port built into the new dock. I like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because my son and I, between the two of us, we have 3 docks and 3 Ethernet ports.
Yeah.
By a USB dongle that we bought separately. So if it was built into the dock, we wouldn't need the dongle. We free up a USB slot for something else.
And if we rewind the tape for the last 2 years, we've talked about the Nintendo Switch when we saw the first reveal and we saw the kind of the piecemeal approach, right? Whether it's the dock, it's the Joy-Cons, it's what I call the guts of the system, right? The actual tablet component of it. There was always this conversation of like, is that where the upgrades are going to happen? Is that where we're going to so imagine a scenario in 4 months from now, we have the Nintendo Switch Pro. Perfect. Am I able to walk into Best Buy or whatever your local game shop is and say, I just want the tablet, right? I just want the gut. And all they're doing is they're selling you for $150 the core unit and everything else, because everything else just connects. Do you know what I mean? You don't need brand new Joy-Cons. You don't need a new dock. You don't need that. I just want the core of it. Is Nintendo going to unbundle the core of the system? Right now, you can buy the Joy-Cons unbundled. You can buy the dock unbundled. You can literally buy everything they have unbundled minus the current. Like if I just want just the system. Now, Japan you can, right? Japan you can do that, but you still get the Joy-Cons. John, what are your thoughts on this?
I don't think that they're going to do that in stores, because I don't think they want people to go and buy a Switch and then come home and just have a system. But I can see them selling it like on their website or something like that, or like a more educated buyer. I certainly it would be cheaper, but they sold that dock. That dock is like $90, right? I think it's still like $90, and that was clearly done because they wanted people to buy another Switch, and they wanted to kind of close that gap between like the $300 for the Switch and the $90 for the dock. I can see it happening, but not in a store. I just can't see that happening in a store.
In the junior model, I think they will not include a dock there to make it cheaper for the kids.
Yeah,
I think it'll still be dock compatible if you have another dock in the house, or buy one.
Sure.
Optionally buy one separately, but I don't think that one will. The Pro I think, and again, I like Mole's idea, having an enhanced dock. I don't think it'll go 4K yet, but there are things that the dock can do, like Ethernet.
The other thing actually just got me thinking about this, actually, Jesse, as you're talking about that, is I wonder if the other thing that they could do. So we've been talking about like the core guts of the system being Pro Edition, right? Which everything I'm hearing here, by the way, I love. But what if they also make Pro Joy-Cons to be associated with the Pro set as well? So as I'm looking at it, you have a proper D-pad, right? Like maybe a proper D-pad. Maybe there's, I don't know, what else would you? Maybe the actual buttons are bigger.
Analog, like shoulder buttons.
Yeah, maybe analog shoulder buttons. Maybe a couple actual like different tweaks to the actual Joy-Cons as well that may kind of make it more of a pro experience, and that those could potentially be purchased individually too. So you could have a base Switch with Pro Joy-Cons. Does that make sense?
It sounds good. I worry about a divergence in play, because we've seen that in the past with like the PlayStation 1, where it launched with a regular controller and then got DualShock, and then you had these games that required DualShock and games that don't. If you get an analog trigger, now you're like start having games that like support it, don't support it, and the gameplay differentiates. I mean, it would be cool. I don't really see it happening. But sure. I have a question for you guys, which is, what games would you play if you got a Pro Switch? What games would you go back to and play?
I think
benefit from the performance.
I think the first one I go back to play is, of course, Breath of the Wild, right? That experience just from the hop, right, is such a tremendous experience. But maybe to see that in a full, large screen. I think that'd be the first one I'd probably go back to. I don't know. Jesse, what about you? Jesse's going back to some like pixel video puzzle game.
Right. Yeah, I can't. I don't think there's any game that I really want to go back to just because I got a Pro. And again, I play handheld most of the time. on that small screen, I won't probably notice a difference between 720 and 1080 on that size of a screen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll definitely notice frame rate improvements, like Zelda in that forest, in the Lost Woods. But
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was say someone in the chat, but you said that, John said Doom.
Yeah.
Oh, Tim Olf. Yeah, Tim Olf said Doom, which is great.
Yeah.
There's also Rime, which was a game that just very famously had performance problems, and I don't know if a faster processor would help, because I think it had some more deep-seated issues, but that would be a very curious one to go back to.
I know Y2K had a patch to fix the loading times. I haven't had a chance to go back to it and see if that helped, but I think a Pro Switch with a better processor might also give that a little bump.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, and John, you actually brought up a really good point here as we're kind of thinking of this Pro system and the divergence. I liked your word there of like the kind of the market divergence, right? Because I think that Nintendo, when they did the Wii U, made some very confusing marketing decisions, right, which they know did not help them. And I wonder, like, could we see Nintendo Switch Pro games? Do you know what I mean? Like this is only available on the Pro.
Yeah, I hope not.
And I feel like that's the worst. I feel like that's the worst idea ever. But
I was
like, is anyone else thinking that?
Edmund in the chat asked about exclusive games. I'm hoping no.
I hope not.
Because as long as they, I don't know how to word this. Because there's no exclusive games for Xbox One X. There are no exclusive games for PS4 Pro. Everything that's out can be played on any system in their family, respectively. I'm hoping the same thing here.
Yeah, if they're not going to do it, I don't think the Switch should do it.
Tim Off joked in the chat saying the Super Nintendo games will be Pro only. Just like
they
the 3DS.
Did that.
Just like the new 3DS.
They did that with the 3DS, yeah. How many, like the new 3DS did that, but there's only a handful of games that are really exclusive. Yeah, I looked up a list this week, and there's only like 3.
Binding of Isaac, and there was one other. I know there was at least one other.
Like Fire Emblem Warriors.
Yep.
Was it? I thought that was...
I think Minecraft is too. Or no?
Yeah, Minecraft is.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what comes of the Switch Pro. I'm excited. I can imagine the conversation of like, "Hey, honey, so I need to go buy a new Nintendo Switch. Why? Just because." Moving on. So the other thing,
remember, don't trade in your old one to get the discount on the new one, because then you'll lose your profile and have to start everything over. You'll want to do a profile transfer. Yeah. And then sell off the old one and get some of that money back, if that's your plan.
You know what? I wouldn't even sell it off. It'd get passed down to the kids. But we've talked a lot about the Pro. Let's talk about the 3DS entry, right? Which has kind of been rumored for a while, obviously. So what they're saying in the Wall Street Journal here is no HD rumble, so most likely not detachable Joy-Cons. And then I would imagine also no dock as well. Now, just in the fundamental idea is that if you remove out stuff like the lack of HD rumble and you remove the dock, you're already dropping the price down, I think, more comparable to probably what the 3DS or new 3DS is running at anyways right now.
Yeah, you'd probably save it down to a 180.
You probably could. Yeah. John, you said you've got your little one with you there as well, your kids. Would you think you'd use a Switch Mini or whatever we want to call it here?
They're too old. I couldn't pull a switcheroo on them. I think they would notice and be mad at me. So
okay.
But I actually had considered it just for myself. Is this thing smaller? Can I carry it with me a little bit more conveniently? And I thought about it, and it's like, yeah, if they're going to do this and make it a cheaper price, they're basically going to, I think, keeping the Joy-Cons connected is obvious.
Yeah.
Because
they're
going to counteract the point of what we said about the Pro, where we don't want the size to change so Joy-Cons can be still interchangeable.
Right.
If these are firmly attached, they can shrink. They can be a smaller unit, and it won't harm be a disruption to the unit.
which is unimaginable. If those buttons got any smaller, I don't think I could even play.
Well, I think the
Yeah.
buttons can still be in the same positions and the same equally spaced. There's just a lot of dead space in this controller that can be shaved off.
But that's where your palm goes, you know? It's like you get rid of that dead space and you're just kind of like holding
Yeah.
it like a little phone.
True, but remember, this would be meant for the littler kids that has a
Exactly.
hand only as big as my palm.
Right. But see, that's the thing. If the Joy-Cons are connected forever to the system, then that means there's no dock because you can't dock it. And then how are you supposed to play? I don't think there's going to be Bluetooth because why wouldn't they take the Bluetooth component out? So that, I mean, and that's more questionable.
Well,
but if they take the Bluetooth out, you can't play with a Pro Controller or any other Joy-Cons.
Well,
Yeah, that's why I don't think they'll take out the Bluetooth, because I think they still want other Joy-Cons to be connected to it remotely. Otherwise, you'll lose Mario Party and you lose other big games.
And I even wonder, like John. So let's think about this one. I think that so I don't think they'd include a dock, but I think the USB-C dock port would still exist.
It's got to charge anyway, right?
It has to charge anyway. So it could imagine a situation.
They may put out a dongle that lets you still attach it to a screen without a dock.
Well, I don't. Yeah, potentially. Yeah, I was going to say they could have the dongle, but I mean, I think this is more about how do you get it in a house that currently already has a device, right? So in my family, they want me to buy 2 of these things, right? Now I've already got a dock in my house, so now that option already exists. So the kids could come up, take my Switch out of the dock, slam their Switch in, probably almost break the damn thing, and then play their games on the big screen, right? And I think that's where they'd leave the Bluetooth actually in it, because I think then they could just pick up any controller. Right, because I think what they're saying is, how do we just get it more accessible for people to buy 1 or 2 different versions of it, and have that kind of the ubiquitousness of like the 3DS, but still so functionally it stays pretty much the same. And if that was the case, then they could pretty much launch these very quickly. I don't know. Anything else what else would you maybe change to make this thing cheaper?
Take out the NFC.
Yep.
That would be key. I think I kind of disagree with Jesse a little bit. I think you would take away multiplayer. I don't think you would allow other controllers to connect to the system. I think it just becomes more like a 3DS, which is like a single player system. I mean, if they're gonna cut the cost, they're gonna have to take out a lot. Otherwise, it's going to be like what was the 3DS when it launched was like $250 or something like that. I don't think they want to be at that price point. It didn't work for the 3DS, so no. I think they need to get to like 200. I think that's the magic number.
They dropped the price in 6 months.
Please understand.
With one of those.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. Okay. Very cool. And apparently being expected to be announced at E3 with Rival, the first one in summer. What do you guys think? Does it sound about right?
I think it would have to be at least August. I think if they announced it in June and say this will be out in 6 weeks, that's too soon.
Right. Okay.
Especially the vendors the merchants will want more time to prepare their systems and whatnot. I'm sure most of them already know, but the smaller ones, if there are any left.
Yeah.
I just don't feel like they could release them both at the same time, but I have no idea on time frame. But releasing them both at the same time would be weird. I don't know if we've seen that before.
I don't think we have. I think they released the 3DS in March. In fact, yesterday was the 8th anniversary of the 3DS. I think that the Pro will come out in August, and then the Junior will be out holiday time.
And as we're looking at that, Jesse, I'm looking through our chat here, and some fantastic statements here actually between Third Strongest Mole and Cubic 311. They need a low cost SKU to accompany Pokemon, right? Like that's a great point, right? And then Third Strongest Mole.
The entire existence of 2DS is because of this.
Yeah. Exactly. Third Strongest Mole says going to get that extra push for bundles with Animal Crossing and Pokemon. Yeah, and so I mean, if that was indeed it, so I mean, the rumor right now is that Animal Crossing is September, I don't know if Animal Crossing would be the one they'd push as heavily on that one, but I think Pokemon is absolutely right.
Yeah.
So
It won't surprise
yeah, I think,
me if the Junior and the Pokemon are day and date. Just
Yeah.
like the 2DS on X and Y was day and date.
yeah. Peter says I'd say the Mini Plus Pro would come out on Monday, the 18th of November. That is very specific, Peter. And
I think
and
it'll
also,
be the previous Friday.
yeah, I would also say he's probably not wrong. Like if you're gonna again, you're gonna come up that holiday window, right? We know that's when a huge number of units are gonna be sold. Let's have the newest unit out there so people are purchasing it for Christmas. And I think he's also right about that. Right on. Well, guys, time will tell about whether Nintendo does indeed send us or bring us 2 new models of the Switch. But that is, several months away. But tons of news as it comes up on that as well. Just before we jump into our what have we been playing, I want to bring quick attention, Jesse, and actually John. You guys, John, you're a Pokemon fan, yeah?
Yeah,
a little bit. You do play Pokemon Go?
I do play Pokemon Go. That's the most Pokemon I've played. I'm level 40, but I've never been a big lover of the game. So, like, most of my Pokemon knowledge is just whatever Pokemon are in Pokemon Go.
Yeah. Fair enough. So they have got a Pokemon event coming up here. And Jesse, what is this event exactly? Because you got a lot going on here, and I don't really know half these things that you're putting in here.
Yeah, so I have 3 Pokemon events scheduled. The first one is a weather-focused one-day event. That's the 30th, this Saturday, from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific time. And during that time, the Pokemon that appear due to weather conditions will appear more frequently during the event. That will include like Lotad, like the not Frostlass, but Snover. Snover evolves into Frostlass, and the Cast Form. Cast Form has different forms based on the weather. So it'll also include limited research tasks that are available when you spin photo discs as Pokestops. Completing the limited research tasks will award you encounters with Lotad. And if you're lucky, you may encounter Shiny Lotad and Shiny Cast Form in its normal form.
All right.
My son's all into the Shinies, as you know.
That sounds a bit weird.
The next event is Giratina returns to raids. The first one started this afternoon. Giratina in its altered form is today through April 2nd, which is Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific. And then starting then until April 29th will be Giratina's origin form.
Cool. So lots of Pokemon Go. So
Yep.
Go Pokemon stuff, people. Do that.
There's one more event.
Okay.
This one was just announced yesterday. It's called the Bug Out event. From starting Tuesday until the following Tuesday, the 2nd through the 9th, bug-type Pokemon will appear more frequently in the wild. Incense will last twice as long. More Pokemon will appear when using an incense. And then limited-time bug-type Pokemon field research will be available during the event.
All right. So lots of Pokemon stuff. If you are people like, I enjoy playing Pokemon Go. I still take out the kids sometimes. We go for a bit of walkabout and we capture together. So if this is something that you do as parents, maybe make sure you take the kids out. There's some fantastic opportunities to be playing Pokemon Go, and gotta catch them all, catch all of them. That's the thing, right?
I took my kids this afternoon to get some Giratina after I picked them up from work.
Giratina sounds like a dish that involves rice and a lot of cabbage. So that you might get some kind of, food mark somewhere.
Is that some Irish thing? It sounds awful.
Hey son, get in the car. Let's go get some Giratina, right? With a little bit of pork. I don't know, maybe, possibly. What's going on there? Also, Jesse, I want you and your son to create your own Pokemon Go podcast, where it is like live chatting as you guys walk around catching stuff. I think that would be the best conversation.
Well, when we go out, it's normally me driving around from target to target specifically to go to specific raids. We don't really walk around randomly.
Okay.
But
I was also thinking.
I've been trying to come up with ways to try of record our conversations, like the big Smash reveal last year. Everyone will be here. I really wish I recorded that. That would have been fun.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't get very excited. He's kind of like me when it comes to, but when we get excited, we get excited.
Nice. Right on. All right. Well, let's jump into what we have been playing, shall we? John, as our guest, sir, what have you been playing?
Yay. I played a game. The theme of this week has been playing old games that I've never played before. And the first one I started last week on Thursday is Metroid Fusion. It's a game that's always been on my backlog. And I played Metroid Zero Mission for the first time the week before Samus Returns came out. And I was just blown away by how good it was. I wanted to kind of learn the story before I got into Samus Returns, and I was like, "Oh, this will be cool," because I don't like the original Metroid, and I loved it. So I've always wanted to kind of play Fusion, and I finally got the push to play Fusion. And
Fusion, I think, is my favorite 2D.
It is great. I think I like Zero Mission more, but yeah, Fusion. If you've never played Fusion, it's a 2D Metroid game, and the thing that I like about the Fusion and the Zero Mission games, it's hard to unlink them. They're so similar, but the nice thing about the Game Boy, we'll say the Game Boy Advance games, is that you don't get lost as much. They give you a constant push as to where you're going, and in Fusion, very specifically on the map, you'll see a little thing that's target, and you know kind of what room you're going to. Every so often they'll kind of you need to find something in the zone, but we're not going to tell you exactly where it is. But it's nice because you're lost in a I believe they call them sectors. So you have that feeling of being lost in Metroid, but you're not lost in the whole world. You're lost in just a sector of the world, and you can explore and look for items and that sort of thing. So I never felt like I hated it, and that's usually what happens. Metroid 1 does that to me. Super Metroid, I'm not the biggest fan of because I will get lost in that game. Yeah, I just get lost, and the map doesn't show you all the rooms that you need to go. So, yeah, I really like the GBA game. So I loved Fusion, and I'd say it's not a long game. My completion, I think, was around 5 hours. I probably played about 10 hours. I don't think they really include your death, so...
No, but, when you die and respawn, that pretty much resets the counter to the point where you saved it.
Yeah, because I think it was 4 hours, 20 minutes or something like that. And it's I played longer than that. But really, you stay under 10 hours. It was a great game. Really liked it.
Well, once I played it, when I finished it, it said my time was 270 hours. Because I forgot the GBA games don't just go into sleep mode when you close the door. You actually have to tell it in the software to go into sleep mode. Then you can close the door.
Yeah, you get used to the DS with that. It does have a sleep mode, but you have to explicitly click some buttons to get there. It's not a flip shut thing. Because
the GBA itself didn't have a close the clamshell sleep mode. It was a software based. So the game is still running, but it's running with the screen off, so it still is a battery saver, but it's still running in the background.
Right. No, the original GBA didn't have a clamshell at all, so you couldn't even do that. The second game that I played, I started this a couple days ago, but Final Fantasy VII.
Ooh, yes.
I have never played that game. I think I played it for an hour 8 years ago. But never played that game, so I was really looking forward to getting to it. I didn't think I was going to like it, and I can say that, if you haven't played Final Fantasy VII before, and I know not many people haven't played it, but it's not a smooth game, and I think this is part of the remaster they did a few years ago. But what they did was they increased the resolution of the characters in the game, but they kept the old backgrounds. They're a 3D pre-rendered backgrounds, and you don't get any sort of 3D angling. So when they pan, they pan. You're just looking at a pre-rendered background. It's old, and the characters look ridiculous in them. You don't get this sense that these are characters in a space.
Okay.
They're that like sometimes the characters appear like the size of a pixel in the game. It is really kind of funny. It really shows its age. A lot of the rooms that you're in are extremely cramped, and they make you like have to talk to characters, and it's just really hard to maneuver around. There's so many problems with the game. They have a cheat mode that's in it that I accidentally activated one time. And so I beat the first boss, and it was like every move was a super powerful move. And I had to look up and go, this seems weird. But you can activate a cheat mode where every attack you make is like a max attack. I think they call it, I can't remember what they call it. Like a
limit break?
Limit break.
Yeah. Mecha Dragon 101 is saying there's literally a press to win button on R3 where you automatically get limit breaks.
Yeah. And the funny thing was, I accidentally turned on this. It's funny that there's even a mode. If you press the minus button, you'll see a finger pointing arrow that points to your character, because I guess it's easy to lose your character on the screen, especially when they're super tiny. And it'll actually have arrows that point to entrances and exits in the game, because it is really hard to figure out where
I
a
think
doorway
that existed
is.
in the original game. I remember seeing that.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, so that's not something new.
That would make sense. So I had accidentally turned that on, and then I trying to figure out what key turned that on made me turn on the super powerful mode. And yeah, I had played the game for like 45 minutes. I had to like start it all over again because I felt so awful. Like I felt like I had cheated the beginning of the game.
Right.
So I started it all over. But I mean, there are so many problems with the game, and when they remastered it, or whatever you want to call it, it's not really a remaster. We'll never see that one. But whatever they did, it just wasn't done very smoothly. I feel like it was kind of rushed. But in the end, it's still fun. I mean, like I am enjoying my time, and I run into problems and I get lost and I can't figure out where to go. But I really love it. So it's easy to look past the graphics on it.
Okay. Mecha Dragon 101 is also saying if you press both L and R3, you'll remove random encounters.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there's a lot of customization for approachability, I guess, for this game as well. Now, John, sort of like you, actually, I blacked out at some point earlier this week, and somehow when I woke up, Final Fantasy VII was on my Nintendo Switch also. I just haven't started playing it yet as well. But I remember that was, like, for people who have nostalgia for Final Fantasy VII, that was the very first RPG I ever played.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I had the same problem with Final Fantasy 15 Chibi Edition. It's on my Switch, but I've never played it.
Yeah, and that to me is what kind of drew me to it. Like I kind of looked at the screenshots and I was like, I just have so distinctive nostalgia and memories for these things, right? And it was the first time that kind of really made me kind of expand my horizon a little bit for some of the games that I play and the interest that I have. And for a while, I was actually really into the Final Fantasy series. I had Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9. All I think it was on the PlayStation at that time, but it's also this kind of like weird timeline that we live in, that Final Fantasy 7 is on the Nintendo Switch, right? There's a little bit of kind of that nostalgia, that like moment in time to purchase as well. Overall, though, John, you're enjoying it?
I'm enjoying it, and there's no nostalgia whatsoever. I've never been a fan of that generation of consoles, the Nintendo 64 and the original PlayStation. I can't play. The graphics age terribly. I really didn't think I would enjoy this game, but I was just going to power through it because it's regarded as one of the greatest games ever made. So it's like, I'm just going to play through it, and I'm just really enjoying it. It is gruesome to the eyes, and it's got so many flaws. I'm still kind of early in it. I'm a few hours into it, but I'm really enjoying it. Yeah, I really like it.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yep.
Any other games you're playing, or anything else on your horizon? Or Yoshi's coming out tomorrow. Is that big for your family?
I was going to be day one for Yoshi, but my wife is claiming it, so I'm going to be playing through Final Fantasy VII while she kind of goes through that game. I'm super excited for that. April is going to be crazy. But the last week, I've been playing actually Drew's Tournament. So if you are a Patreon, Drew runs a tournament, and this is the last round of the tournament. And what he did, because he's crazy, is he's making us play through all of the games in the tournament all over again. So if you're not familiar with this round is, there's several of us that are in there playing through Mario Kart 8, Enter the Gungeon, Pro Wrestling, on the NES, Ice Hockey, Smash Brothers Ultimate, Super Mario Brothers 2, Paladins, and Super Mario U Deluxe. So I think I think there's 7 of these games were the ones we played in the tournament, and then the bonus game was Super Mario 2. So there's particular challenges with these. Like, you don't have to beat all of the games. The only one you have to play through is Super Mario Brothers 2. You have to do it as Luigi. So, and you will score points for each one. So there's been a bunch of us that have been playing through these games, trying to get high scores in all of them. They're all individually scored. And I just want to like point out, like, for anybody who hasn't like played in Drew's tournament, just as an example, for this round, Enter the Gungeon. The challenge there is to run through the first chamber, I forget what they call them, the first level of the dungeon, as fast as possible. You can do it with whatever guns, you can use whatever character. Right now, that the first place score is 1 minute and 45 seconds, which is nuts. So somebody ran through the first level of Enter the Gungeon in 1 minute and 45 seconds. I take longer just to beat the boss. The second one is Mario Kart 8, and these records, by the way, are not published. I asked Drew if he would give me a few of the high scores because I thought it would pique some people's interest. So we're doing Wario's Gold Mine. The high score right there is 2 minutes and 14.6 seconds. So if anybody thinks that they can beat that score, you should head over to our tournament channel. That's hashtag tournament-leaderboards. The third challenge I thought was funny. This is a pro wrestling challenge, and you have to use Giant Panther, and you have to pin your opponent as fast as possible. And your opponent, I think, is always going to be Fighter Hayabusa because you're just forced into it. So the record on that one is 43 seconds. So try to pin Fighter Hayabusa with Giant Panther faster than 43 seconds, and you can take first place in this tournament. So
I saw the list of games for the tournament, and I just went, nope. I know I'm not. I either don't own the games, or I know I'm not going to be good enough. So
it's hard to get first place. There's always somebody that's really good at it. Third strongest mole is just unbelievable in Enter the Gungeon. Yeah, it's a whole lot of fun. So everybody should check that out.
That's great. Yeah, I know Drew's doing some fantastic work over there and kind of keeps everyone connected and playing the tournaments. And I think I got to connect with Drew because I think we've got some prizes to give away for people who are placing as well. So we got to make sure that those are heading out to people as they win. So Drew's been fantastically running that, which is completely awesome. I appreciate that. Jesse, what have you been playing, sir?
All right, so I dabbled with a few new games that came out last week, and kind of not a fan of either, but they're still kind of interesting to talk about. The first one is Rogue Bit, and the premise is you're inside the memory of a computer, and you are a bit that has become sentient, and you're trying to escape the computer. And so this really gets into like how assembly programs work in order to solve some of the puzzles. And as you move around, you can see, as you're moving around the memory map, you're able to see what else is around you. So in both binary mode and in ASCII mode, and they are a 1-to-1 correlation, and they're right, they're accurate, which was, and so if you don't know how memory works, a computer byte has 8 bits. You are always the 7th bit in this chain. So like you can't go through any byte that also has the 7th bit on. So numbers you can pass through and change the value, but letters and other symbols you can't. So you gotta learn which ones you can go through and which ones you can't go through. And then later on in the game, you come across these puzzles where you actually have to manipulate the program by changing memory bytes to change the behavior of the program to get past it. And at that point, even I've been programming a computer all my life, but never at the bit level. I got frustrated and quit. I did get about halfway through the game. I did a stream on my channel. I played about 45 minutes. I was about halfway through. There was only like 3 big puzzles left. I tried to follow along in a walkthrough to finish the game to see how it ends. I lost. I lost what the player was in this video was doing. I couldn't even keep track. So this game is definitely not for people who don't understand programming concepts. And even if you do, there's still a chance to get upset. So it's an interesting game. The whole game, the whole walkthrough with the guy slowly explaining everything took about 70 minutes. So it's not a long game. I saw another video of a speed run that's 6 minutes.
Wow.
So it's probably entertaining to watch that. Maybe not the hour-long one with the description, but just to see what all has to happen to make this thing work. So it was an interesting play, but I never finished it. The other game is called Not a Brainbuster.
Okay.
It starts off really simple. You are a guy standing on a cube, and the very first level is you have to do 10 steps, and your directions are up, down, left, or right. So you are told a command, and you do it. And you do it 10 times without a mistake, then you get a gold medal, and then you go on, it unlocks the harder level. When you finish the second level, it'll unlock a harder version of the second level, and then the easy version of the third, etc. When you get to the harder level, it starts adding knots. So your commands might be up, left, not down. So with not down, you can pick up, left, or right, and either of them are fine to keep going. If you choose down there, then you lose a life. And
Wow.
then it starts adding things like colors. So you'll see colors on your edges, and it says, green, blue, yellow, not red, not green. Okay, and then when you start going down into the harder levels, then it starts adding knots. So you'll see not up, which means you have to go up.
Oh, geez. That sounds like that's too much for me.
It looks crazy.
It's not too much yet. This is when it gets too much. The hardest level. Do you see where this is going? 3 knots. Not down. Which is the same as not down.
Not down.
And so it can be up, down, or up, left, or right. But just, whenever I get 3 knots, I always think it's 2 knots and go the wrong way. And so I didn't get far in that game either. But it's just literally a $2 game. So it's something to try. It was amused. But I'm probably not going to play that one again either.
Say, I've talked to Jesse about this. Like I like some of like the workplace games you've played, and like obviously these programming games and things like that. But my problem always is like after a day of working, it's hard to like. I can't imagine like looking at logic. Like I'm looking at a cube that says yellow and not nothing. Like
right.
After a day of
and
work,
it has nothing too. I forgot about that.
Yeah, you guys are way like I zoned out. I'm like, no, we're not doing this. I work. Yeah. I come home. I'm like, okay, what in Fortnite can I blow up? Not what kind of logic rhyming if then problems can I solve? That is no dice. No
I like
dice.
Human Resource Machine. I like 7 Billion Humans. Rogue Bit, no.
The best part about this is there's 4-player multiplayer. I just can't imagine.
I'm not even going to put my kids into that.
Your wife and kids play.
They would throw controllers. It's the first time they saw a not.
That's too funny. That is too funny.
All right, that's all. That's all I got.
That's all. Okay, I'll run down mine pretty fast because it's only been some light touches. I have had an opportunity to play Unraveled 2. This came out last week on Friday for the Nintendo Switch, and I have really been enjoying it. It's a great, if you're looking for a couch co-op game to play with the kids or play with a spouse that's not overly too complicated, but also allows you to kind of jump in and out. You can play it singularly, so it's just if you want to just play it yourself, you control these two separate entities at different times that can kind of come together, and they have abilities that you share. You can do that, but if all of a sudden your kid shows up and wants to play, you have the ability to swap over to them to easily play and jump in as well. So it's really accessible, beautiful art style, and a ton of fun, and some nice problem-solving levels as well that can be kind of engaging. But again, if the problem solving gets too hard and your kids get frustrated and they kind of like put the controller down and walk away, you have the ability to kind of retake over as a single player and join up. So that is Unraveled 2. So I'd highly recommend checking that one out.
Hey, Justin.
Yeah.
When you play solo, is it like, do you take turns controlling a character, or can you use like each of the sticks, the analog sticks?
Yeah. So you take turns controlling the character.
Okay.
So you when you're not separate, they kind of wind together to be one, and you're running around, and then you'll meet a puzzle where you're like, okay, I need the two people to help me solve this. So then you separate the characters. So if they're like red and blue yarns, they separate into the separate individuals. And then maybe I'll use the red yarn to go over here and do this one, and then I'll press a button, and the blue yarn will then be highlighted, and then I'm in control of that person. So you're controlling them individually.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I've been playing. So I would definitely, again, like if you're looking for a family kids game to be doing, that would be a recommendation. I have some Let's Play footage capture. I should put that up on our channel. So take a look at that. I would definitely recommend it. And another game that I have been playing super light touch on, but haven't had a lot of time is Yooka-Laylee. I actually picked that up on the sale a couple of 2 weeks ago. It was on sale by Playtronics. I won't spend a lot of time on this one because we've talked about it in the past, but definitely, Banjo-Kazooie-esque, got that kind of feeling and vibe. I'm enjoying it so far, and again, I think approachability with the kids, it's kind of relatively easy to play with them, and you can coach them if you need to. But if you were a kid like I was, who played Banjo-Kazooie back in the mid 90s with the N64, it definitely has all kinds of nostalgia shaken for you, so it's all right. There's some audio issues that I'm not happy with for the when the characters are chatting. It's a super annoying like meh, 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 meh sound, which I'm not a happy camper about. But overall, it's enjoyable. We'll keep playing it, and the kids will get on with it. So those are the games I've been playing. Of course, I'd be remiss if we didn't mention that today. Well, my today, your tomorrow, or your today versus my tomorrow versus yesterday.
Time travel, fun stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yoshi's Crafted World comes out on the Nintendo Switch. So I know that's what we'll be playing at our household this weekend as well. So look for more coverage.
Probably is on the eShop now in the United States.
Probably is. Yeah, exactly. If you pre-download this thing, it is probably available for you to catch onto right away.
It would have been playable 53 minutes ago.
There you go. Look at you go. Look at you. Let's see here. I just wanted to do this. Sorry, but yeah, Timothy is playing Bow to Blood. He's going to have some coverage on our channel right away for that in a little bit, actually. And Peter, Unraveled 2 graphics remind me of Pikmin Cross with Little Big Planet. Actually, Peter, our Onomeister, that is a very good connection of that. That's a very good way of actually making that connection. So I would not disagree with you there. All right, Jesse, let's jump into our community spotlight, shall we? Right, fantastic. So we got some community spotlights things here. First, let's start off with this. Drew says World War. This is, oh my God, Jesse, can you read that?
World War Zablanc's reign will soon come to an end, and War Drew's legacy will forever. Oh. He sang and praised for the years to come.
Oh my! All right, geez, so let me explain what Drew's talking about. So we've been running the Wargroove League for the last couple months or so.
Yep.
And if you haven't played it, there was 8 of us that participated. We had a 7-week season, so we played each other one time. Everyone got to be a home team. You can pick your map, that sort of thing. We recently started the playoffs. There was 4 of us in the playoffs.
I think Marty was 1-6, right?
Marty did win a game. I believe it was against Messmaker. So we just as we got to the playoffs, that's when Marty left. And we had a delay because for about a week, the Wargroove servers were just awful. And so there was a match between Tim Nookie and Drew. And that match ended an hour before we started. And so the Wargroove final is going to be between myself and Drew.
Ooh.
And that's going to be taking place this weekend. So yeah, we both kind of like conceived the Wargroove League, and so it's kind of weird that we're both in the final. But no cheating has happened.
Yep.
And it's interesting because I had to convince Drew to be hyped about Wargroove, and then he got hyped, and now yeah, he's in the final. So it's going to be great.
Wargroove is a fantastic game. And yeah, I have not had a chance to play a lot of online games. So if anyone wants to hit me up, send me a code or send me a message, and I'm happy to play some online games of Wargroove with people as well. Marty and I had a game going, and then when they did that major patch update, we lost that game completely. So that was super frustrating. I was like, oh. But yeah, Wargroove is awesome.
Yeah, and the great thing about Wargroove is that you can play asynchronously, so you can just make a move and then just come back to it later. You don't have to sit there online with everybody.
That was such when we met with spent time with the developers Chucklefish at EGX in September of last year. That was a thing that blew my mind when they talked about that asynchronous. I was like, no way, like that is huge. The only wish I had for that is that there was some kind of notification. that you got.
Yep.
Know, because right now is reliant on like Marty and I sending messages back and forth, like your move, and it was kind of like I just wish there was some kind of like little notification that said you got this, go do it.
Yep.
So,
yeah, we just used the Discord.
Like on the iPhone, you can put a 1 or an exclamation mark.
Yeah.
Bubble
exactly.
on an icon. That would something like that would be nice here.
Exactly, I like it. All right, so let's jump into some of our community spotlights. So these are questions that have come through for our either through our Discord or through Twitter as well. So let's jump into these questions. Skinny Matt asks from...
Before you do, so when you see the one with 2 bullets, they're basically both asking the same question, so go ahead and read them both.
I appreciate that. Skinny Matt asks from our Discord, what Switch game keeps pulling you back on? For me, Breath of the Wild has its claws in me again, and on top of that, I can't stop playing Stardew Valley. John, let's go to you. What game keeps pulling you back?
The one that pulled me back the most is Mario and Rabbids. I played that game. I just love that game. I cannot, I've seen the game go on sale. I think it's on sale for like $20 at Best Buy right now. If you have not played Mario and Rabbids,
that's what the gold edition is, right?
It is one of the best games on the Switch. It is so much fun. There's so many extra challenges. They kind of rolled out some DLC. The Donkey Kong Adventure was incredible. And the thing that was great about that was it was completely separate from the game. So even if you just kind of went halfway through the game, if you got the Donkey Kong Adventure, you just started with a from scratch team. I played through all of it. I did all the challenges, all the super difficult stuff, everything. And then what the Ubisoft has been doing, I don't know. What they have been doing is literally running these seasonal tournaments. They're not tournaments per se. You just play on your own. So they did the winter, and now they're doing the spring. And they literally run it off of data analytics. So basically they challenge you to play a level, and they'll say you can't use your sub-weapons or you have to do it under 4 moves. And the game has no knowledge of what is going on. But I'm guessing just, from being involved in this, that every time you finish a game, they just send the analytics of your game to Ubisoft servers, and they just go through them. You literally have to change your handle for like a day to some weird code just so they can identify you and link you in. So they've been running these. I expect them to run for another year or so. I fully feel like there's going to be some sort of sequel to this game. But it's the one game I keep coming back to, and it's really easy to come back to, too. I never feel totally lost. It usually takes me like 5 minutes to get back in the groove of it. Yeah. So that's been the one.
And the thing I love about that game as well, is the level of difficulty and the level of play style options that are available to that, right? Whether it's, you want to play 2-player local where, you and your son or daughter, your kids are helping you complete a level together. There's that, right? And so it's kind of like, what do we call like kids maybe first strategy game? Or if you want to go against each other, right? You want to have your own teams and you want to compete against each other. That option's available there. And then, like to your point, there is all the challenge packs, right? There is so much depth to that game. That is a fantastic game. And I to your point, I'm hoping for a sequel. And I think they sold enough. I think they did well enough. It was received well enough. Like, when I think of that comparatively to Ubisoft's Starlink, that was kind of their second take at partnering with Nintendo's. Mario and Rabbids just killed it, right?
Yep.
Just blew it out of the water. And that's a great game to go back to. I love that one, John.
Yep.
Now you want me to go? I want to go back and play that right now. What any other games that you kind of go back to?
I'm one of the probably tens of thousands of people that spun up Necrodancer again this week. I think it's one of the hardest games I have ever played in my life. I cannot even get anywhere close to getting through a full run of it, but it is fun to try. I really wish I could beat it before Cadence of Hyrule comes out. I can't. I just can't do it. So I'm done. But I tried. So.
How are you? Are you hyped for Cadence of Hyrule?
I am not as hyped as other people are. I'm excited it's coming out. I'll probably give it a try, but I'm just not good at Necrodancer. So, we'll see.
Right. Okay. Cool. I like it. Jesse, how about you? Anything that brings you back?
Normally, whatever the latest Picross game is, literally, all the other games, it's like play once and I won't touch it for at least 2 years until it's I'm ready to try to play it again. Like I'm thinking about trying to fire up Twilight Princess. That's how long it's been since I played that. Because I bought the HD remake when it was new and never played it because I had just played it through the year before on the Wii.
Right.
So the Pick a Picks Pieces is I think what they put out DLC often enough that when I do catch up and finish it, there's something else I can buy and keep playing.
Okay, absolutely. All right, and okay, and actually,
Dragon says, "Please teach me how to play Picross."
Yeah,
I'll try to. I think I've done videos before where I can try to do another one where I kind of walk through the logic of like a 10x10, something that I can normally finish in a minute. I can probably talk through it and have it solved in 5 to 10, and what might make for a good video. I'll think about doing that.
Okay. For me, the game I kind of keep coming back to. I actually kind of come back to Dead Cells quite frequently. That's kind of this weird comfort one, and then I'll pick up random games of like Rocket League. That's kind of one that scratches my interest. And the other one for us is Overcooked. We come back to Overcooked all the time. Just because they keep adding more content to it, and we just keep playing it, and we love it. So,
and there's new DLC coming.
There's new DLC with a season pass coming, so that is absolutely fantastic, which I love.
So good.
All right, our next questions come basically from Timothy and Mikey, and they ask, "Did you guys watch Sony's first direct attempt of the State of Play? What did you think?" And that's from Tim. And Mike's question was, "Curious what you guys all thought of PlayStation State of Play, and obviously comparisons to the Direct." My bad, sorry. What do you think of the trend by video game companies copying Nintendo with this format? Did you guys watch the State of Play?
I did.
Yep.
What did you think?
I was kind of unimpressed. It was. I don't think there was anything in there that I want to play. Of course, I also don't like what everyone else is supposed to like. So, the big shocker there. And it was very VR heavy.
Yes.
So I think Adam Leonard is like all excited because he just got a VR for Christmas and he wants all the VRs. But for me, nah. And the format I don't even think was very exciting. Nintendo has had years to kind of perfect the format, and I think they could do better.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I remember when Reggie retired, I was watching old Nintendo Directs and like highlights of Reggie. We started going through some of the older Directs, and they have come a long way. So this is kind of like Sony starting from scratch, but they've had the benefit of seeing Nintendo do it. It was like about 20 minutes long. It was very unimpressive. They actually started out with a big like Marvel reveal of an Iron Man game. And you started to get this impression like, oh my God, they're going to make an Iron Man game. It's going to be like Spider-Man. Like, what is it going to be? And it was like
they were hiding the fact it was VR at this point. That was like a last second reveal. And everyone went, oh crap.
It's like first person with his arms in front of him. And like, I don't know, it could be a good game, but like it didn't show well. And then they just went through a string of boring announcements. And then it ended with Mortal Kombat, which was really strange because it's a game we've all seen. There's nothing exciting about it. I mean,
the big reveal
PS4
there
fan.
where they were introducing new characters that they hadn't introduced before.
Yeah, okay. It's hard to keep track.
Like there's like two Johnny Cages now. There's the current one, and then the one from the '90s.
It's like Link and Toon Link.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I think there's 2 or 3 characters that'll have 2 copies of itself.
It was a weird way to end. There was like one game I was interested in, Observation, which looked like a space shuttle type game. But yeah, it was very VR heavy. Like if you like VR, there's a Five Nights at Freddy's VR. I mean, yeah, they could have been better. They didn't have like a human host. It was just a voiceover, and they just went from game to game to game. And yeah, just I thought it was gonna be way better.
Yeah. I mean, I think the quality of it, I think, is maybe not great, and I think that's the other challenge is I don't think Sony has a lot to really show off right now. I think it's interesting this move to this kind of Nintendo Direct-esque way of doing things. I think it's again. I think companies like Sony and Microsoft have kind of realized after watching Nintendo that they can own their communication style and their beats a little bit easier, and that they don't need to wait till E3 to have these big press conferences. And obviously with Sony removing themselves from E3 this year, I think they still need to have that communication with their fans. And by doing this methodology, it will help them, I think. So I think good for them for owning that space a little bit more and owning that communication. I think their first attempt at it was a little bit lackluster, but I don't know if that's necessarily the games that are lackluster or just kind of they're finding their footing on it as well. But I thought they definitely did some things right, showing dates of when the games were coming, kind of who the publisher was. That it felt a little bit of polish, but definitely I think we also all remember the Nintendo Direct days of when the Wii U was around. They didn't have anything to offer very much back then either, and spend a lot of time with that. So it'll be interesting to see how Sony owns that space a bit more and how frequent this is.
And a lot of Sony's resources are going into PS5 gamer development right now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Next question comes from Twitter. Have you guys ever, this is from Mecha Dragon 101. Have you guys ever played Crash Team Racing before? And which of you guys are excited for Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled game in a few months? I have not played it. Anyone?
Yeah, it's a no and a no from me. Sorry, but
yeah, I haven't played it. It was in the state of play. And I honestly was confused whether it was an old game or new game. I didn't even know what they were saying.
Yeah, exactly.
We play Mario Kart here.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we don't have anyone's reference that. I'm not super hyped for it. I'm not a huge racer fan, anyways, other than Mario Kart. But I know that some people are. I know some people are definitely hyped for it. But I think this might be something Marty's alley. I think Marty was excited for it.
I think so.
We'll have to kind of go back and double check on that one as well. Is that it for our?
Now, Bushin Ryu Cat in the chat asks, "Hey Dad, sorry I'm late, but late work shift. 2 quickies. 1, do you know anyone who's played Mortal Kombat 11 at PAX East? And 2, has there ever been a Nintendo convention?"
I don't know of anyone who's played Mortal Kombat at PAX East. I haven't heard anything from there yet. Obviously, PAX East just kicked off yesterday. I have seen some preview trailers for Mortal Kombat. I think Game Explain just put up one today or yesterday, so you may want to check that one out. And has Nintendo ever had a convention?
They had the Nintendo World Championships.
Yeah, I was thinking that'd be the closest thing they'd have was the World Championship, but I don't think they've ever had a convention. If there was anything, it would have been back in the 90s, maybe.
I know they used to do like Pokemon events. That was not really a convention. And they run Pokemon tournaments. They both for the card game and the core games. But that's like the only reason why they're there. There's nothing really else going on. So I don't think they've ever had a convention.
Yep.
Nintendo Con.
Yeah, that would be something.
That'd be awesome.
Then Bushin Ryu Cat also asked, "You guys know the Olympics are coming in 2020 in Japan, and Mario and Sonic love those Olympic games. Are we getting an announcement soon?"
Oh, probably. Yeah, they'll soon.
Probably, I would guess E3.
Yeah, they'll definitely. Actually, I don't know if it'll get spotlight there. It'll just be subtly announced. So yeah,
it'll be something quick, short. It'll be your normal Olympics game. It'll be released probably December.
Yeah, if it's not at E3, it'll be like in a direct at some point as a roll up to, and that's the Summer Olympics. So I'd be shocked if it wouldn't be like next year, right?
Well,
So I would think
it would be before the real Olympics are.
Right.
Probably March at the latest. Then the Olympics are usually August into September.
Yes, July, August, I think. Yeah. Also, thank you, Bush and Ryu Cat, for the donation as well. We greatly appreciate that. Thank you. All right, let's check out what else.
The last one's a big email.
Okay, you want me? I'll give this one a crack. All right.
All right.
This comes from Scott. Scott writes, as a representative of the 29 million Americans living on the 96.5% of the USA, which is not urban, I'd like to chime in regarding Stadia and provide a bit of a reality check. Well, it's interesting technology. It's rather tone deaf to the state of the American internet infrastructure. Most people I know have broadband, clocking it at under 10 megabits,
yes.
Which a considerable number, such as my parents, stuck at 5 megabits tier that often don't even hit that consistently. Many of these people have DSL as their only option, with the cable companies, as horrendous as they are, not considering their area to be worth running cable to. I even have a fair number of clients who are stuck at 1 megabit DSL. Combine those speeds with latency and then factors in the ubiquitous data caps most ISPs hit you with. There's a serious disconnect between the utopian view of streaming only, cloud only lives like Stadia and the reality to American internet. The people coming up with Stadia, self-driving cars, and so on, and really seem to be living in a urban reality distortion bubble, which is really out of touch with the world beyond, out in the suburbs. Not only that, but just like digital-only gaming and the decline of physical media, I fear what a streaming-only game world would lead to. Digital-only and streaming-only advocates are shooting themselves in the foot and ruining so many core aspects of the gaming world. Game trading and borrowing, reselling old games, and guaranteed longevity are being sacrificed for the sake of impatience. Can you imagine if if you no longer could play Super Mario Brothers 3 after 1995 when the Nintendo was disconnected? Yes, Nintendo has been kind enough to keep it alive via the Virtual Console and emulations on later consoles, but we are at their whim and viability. For a while, it almost seemed we weren't going to get retro games on the Switch. So the commentary really, I think, there from Scott is really about the infrastructure and the digital future we're living to. And I guess, John and Jesse, what are your questions or thoughts on this, actually?
Yeah, that's why I don't think this generation will be, obviously at some point you're going to have to start streaming games, and I know other companies have tried it unsuccessfully, but at some point you need a starting point, a restarting point to go forward. And I would like to think eventually we can get more internet bandwidth out to more areas to take advantage of it. But, until that happens, I don't think disc-based, cartridge-based games are going to go away.
Yeah.
So, yeah, obviously Stadia isn't going to be for everybody. Again, it'll be people in the bigger cities with the bigger infrastructures that are able to get 200 megabits, 1,000 megabits into their house. Yeah, if you don't have at least 50, I wouldn't even try this, especially if you want to go 4K, because there you probably need at least 100. And if you have a data cap, forget it, because you're going to kill that in 2 days.
Yeah,
I know. AT&T and some areas have 150 gig. I think they added that in my area around the same time I switched to Google. So with Google I have no cap.
Yeah, so there's definitely this kind of distortion of the reality of the situation, and I think it's a very valid point, right? Like, it would be great if this was plausible. I think from a connectivity perspective, disregarding the statement regarding the all digital future, just the infrastructure is probably not where it needs to be for mass consumption in some areas, right? For sure. John, what do you think of this?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot. It's interesting because the arguments that gamer friends and argue about have always been like physical versus digital, right? And I've always been a physical guy, just partly because
As we
I
can
want to
see
like.
behind you.
Yeah, I have a few games. But it is fun to have like a big box of Atari games and just be able to plug one in and play it. And I think 20 years from now, I want to be able to find my Switch in a box, and I'll be in my 60s and I'll be like, oh, I remember the Switch, and play some Mario and Rabbids, and that's something that is not a guarantee with digital. The funny thing about Stadia is that suddenly digital doesn't seem so bad. It's almost like there's a lot of people that don't like digital because they don't like the idea that the games could go away someday, or if your Switch breaks and the eShop is not available, then you can't play anymore. But suddenly now digital feels like, well, at least I have it and it's on my machine and I don't have to play on the internet. I think a lot of people in rural areas have a reason to be upset about it because it won't benefit them. And I remember a similar thing from Pokemon Go. A lot of people in rural areas can't fully enjoy Pokemon Go.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a reason not to do it. I think that it's unfair to people in rural areas, and I'm not trying to be mean, but like there's going to be people that just can't participate in just about anything. But one thing that might happen from this is that it'll help push at least infrastructure here in America to like improve. So this might end up pushing for that. I know, Google's going everywhere, but it might actually help. It's not a reason not to do it. I don't think physical's going away for another generation. But you still have digital, which is still doable. And so digital's become more of a good guy. And now we can all, grief all over streaming gaming. So I think that's going to be the new argument now.
Tim is saying
Sure.
that the 5G infrastructure is coming, and that'll have a huge impact. So it'll be, it'll give faster speeds to people over the air, like similar to what we use LTE for our 4G networks. And while it's still not as good as direct to house copper or fiber, but it'll have a little bit of extra latency, but it'll still get the speed there. The latency won't be as bad as satellite, but I think it'll still have enough latency that it might affect some gaming depending on what you're playing.
Right.
And then you're still going to need like unlimited data. You can't play on a data capped mobile plan. So I mean, and they're expensive.
And a lot of the mobile plans that say they're unlimited are limited to a point of fast, and then they will give you garbage bandwidth. But you can use as much of that. You can use as much of that as you want.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. I like it. All right, well, guys, thanks very much. I think those are great questions. Thanks very much for participating and throwing in, whether it's the email you send us or the Discord conversation or the tweet or even the comments in our chat room. We greatly appreciate that as well. It's great to have some healthy conversation. Guys, I think that's a show. I think that is a show. Before I say anything else before we start closing off, John, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed it.
I had a good time.
That's great.
It's good to finally hang out with you.
Yeah, absolutely. You are welcome back here anytime. And of course, John, anywhere that we should be following you on Twitter or anything that you do that you want to throw our attention to?
I am Zablanc on Twitter, Zablanc. And I also run a few Facebook groups here in Denver. So if you're in the Denver area, we've got the Denver Switch Mob. You can join us for some Switch play. We got the Denver Retro Gamers. If you like the older stuff, and the Denver Amiibo Hunters, which is still alive and kicking. It was started when Amiibo were super hard to come by, and we're all helping each other, trying to find these things and trade. And now Amiibos become a lot easier. But yeah, we're still tracking them down and all the restocks that are going on right now. So it's been a little crazy with people trying to catch up on some stuff they've missed before.
Yeah, no kidding. That's fantastic. So yeah, guys, if you guys are in the Denver area, around that area, make sure you hit up those groups and connect with John. That is absolutely fantastic. I love it. All right, so let's start wrapping this up. Before I say this, guys, thanks to everyone who's in our chat. I greatly appreciate that. Everyone who's watching us live and participating and joining in. It is always fantastic to have everyone in here. Big thanks to Timothy Alf, who is our community manager and kind of running our chat room as well. So we greatly appreciate that. Thank you, Tim. Big thanks to our Patreon producers, Chris Mears, this guy, John Blanco, who's joining us, David Ernsberg, and of course, Timothy Alf. If you want to support us or head over to and support us on patreon.com, you can definitely do that. It's patreon.com/Nintendo Dads. And be like the 100 amazing Patreon supporters who help us every single month. We greatly appreciate it. If you're new here or new to Nintendo Dads, you can, of course, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. It's Nintendo Dads. Pretty easy to go there and check that out. You can send emails to us at nintendodads@gmail.com. We are streaming on Twitch, of course, at Nintendo Dads. And we have a YouTube channel. We'd love if you have not had an opportunity, head over there, hit subscribe, hit the bell. We have tons of videos that go up every single week, and that is, of course, Nintendo Dads. Very easily searchable, so check that out as well. If you want to leave us a voicemail, call us 929-25-NDADS or 929-256-3237. Big thanks to OC Remix, which is this wonderful beat and music that you hear throughout the entire show. And big thanks to Adam Leonard and Carter Johnson for our key art. If you want to, of course, you can find us on all the places you can get podcasts. Download the Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, and, of course, VG Tribune. And while you're there, hey, why don't you give us a 5-star rating? It'd be great if you did. Anything less than a 4-star, go home. I don't want you here. But guys, for myself, for Jesse, and for John, the 3 J's for this podcast, thanks very much for joining us. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dads.
Wobble Puffet?